Yo, what's going on, everyone? It's Brian and Jim here with Drink a Beer and Play a Game, and welcome to another episode of the Power Hour.
Yes, hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 152. How you doing tonight? Thank you for joining us. And speaking of joining us, it's been a little while since we've had a guest, so we figured we're recording this on February 21st, 2022. We're on the precipice of World War III over here, so we figured this is some history-making shit. Why don't we bring in a history-related podcast? So we have with us tonight Mr. Travis Lee from the Roast Mortem cast. Travis, how you doing, man?
Hello, guys. Hey, everyone. How's it going? Yeah, World War III, ready. It's history repeats itself. You just have to look at Ukraine. You have to look at that area. It's just constant loop. But I'm excited to talk some games and get out of my history zone for a little bit tonight.
Yeah, what do you call it?
Yeah.
So, Roast Mortem is like one of my favorite podcasts out there. So, when I say just a history podcast, it's one of those ones that, like, you know, they talk about a thing and it's, you know, drab and boring, goes on for 3.5 hours. So, it's basically him and a bunch of his buddies. They sit down. They do what they do on the side. I'm not here to judge whatever they're getting messed up on. And then they just riff on some classic people from history. So, one week will be like a pimp, and then it'll be a World War II general, and then it'll be like your most recent thing, Hergé, the artist for Tintin. So you guys go over Dimebag Darrell. I was like, oh shit, I'm a big Pantera fan, and that one really hit close to home.
The only criteria we have for our subjects is they must be dead. So it could be, you know, I remember we cranked out George Bush Sr. like 2 weeks after he died. So that's the only criteria.
So was Connor just sitting there with like 5 books ready to go and just waiting for the go dead button?
We have been actually thinking we should probably start writing a script for the Queen. A lot of juice there. Juicy.
So, Trav, before we hop into it with you, though, first, where can everyone find you? Go plug your shit away, because we also will have it below, but let everyone know. Where can they see you guys?
Yeah, if you like history, you like drinking, because, you know, there's a little bit of a tie over with our shows with the drinking. We love to drink on Roast Mortem. Go to check us out on anywhere you listen to podcasts at Roast Mortem Cast. We also have a website, but we don't really update it. It's all broken links. RoastMortemCast.com.
So, Trav, I got to ask you, when you guys are coming up with the episodes, do you all talk amongst yourselves about who you want to do next, or do you let each one of you guys pick, or how do you guys come up with that?
We pretty much just go in cold, which is, I think, always the best. Sometimes I'm expecting, you know, to be in the 14th century, and then we're doing something relatively current. Like, we're just all over the place. Someone shows up, oh, I got this guy. And it usually ends up that they are somehow inbred, somehow, fucked up in some way. We have, like, a trend that goes throughout the show.
Nice.
You find a lot of these historical figures like to fuck their cousins and children.
Nice. So who, then let me ask you, was it a mutual like group effort as to how you guys even came up with the idea for the podcast? Or was there like, did you come to your friend and say, I have an idea, I want to do this? Or how did that turn out?
So we were thinking we wanted to do a podcast for a while, and like Tom and I kind of were brainstorming a few ideas. Our first run, we never released it, was like what if we did like a show where it was like, what if you had no clue what the internet was, and you'd go to these websites and try to like describe like Wikipedia to someone. And they're like, and then Tom's like, you're such a history buff, and like, why don't we just do a different, person every week, and we can dive around into all different types. Because doing a history show, if you're stuck in one little century or one area, it kind of gets stale. But because we can kind of bounce around, doing Romans or doing Civil War generals, it kind of keeps it fresh.
Nice.
Well, yeah, like you jumped from like a Civil War guy to Chris Benoit. I was like, woof.
Yeah. All the greats.
All the true heroes.
Yeah.
But yeah, and like
awesome.
from what we've talked about before, like all of you guys are basically just like incredibly avid readers. Like you're not just like going to Wikipedia and going to like the tagged websites to get all your info. Like you're actually getting, like, I love the parts when you just start bashing these autobiographies and you're like, this is when this autobiography gets really bad.
Yeah, it's especially musicians. When we do a lot of musicians or movie stars, it's always like they're just sucking them off. Like the biographer loves them so much and he can't remove himself. And like I remember, I think Tom was doing Jimi Hendrix at one point, and the book he was reading was just like every single show that the guy went to when Jimi Hendrix was alive. It's like, I don't give a shit. Tell me about when he fucking like hit someone.
Yeah, give me some juicy details.
Yeah, give me juice. Yeah, no, we definitely set up when we first started the show. We were a little bit looser and just kind of doing the Wikipedia thing, but then we were like, you know, there's so many people on YouTube that I feel do stuff like that just to mill out content. We're like, we got to go a little deeper, you know, and that's cracking open the books is where you get the real juicy shit.
So do you? Are you just a straight? You're gonna research somebody. You're gonna order the books offline, or do you go to the library and actually rent out some books?
I always order them used online because I'm one of those guys. I don't give a shit. I'll just like write all over the place in them.
Gotcha.
So, and that's kind of just the way that I work now. So like, going to the library, taking out a book, I'd feel like a dick when they see like little penises in the corner. I have my whole methodology of note taking. So.
God, this Travis guy really drew a real veiny one in this in this George Washington book. What the hell?
It goes from page 4 to page 7.
It's like the never-ending story all over again. Nice. So, yeah, I know you guys definitely like to drink, and I know you coming on here with us, and thank you for joining us. What do you got in your glass tonight?
Thanks for having me on. I think I told you guys that I'm a notorious for just shit beer and like seltzers and shit like that. But I figured since I was on the show, I live in Portland. I'm from New York. So there's tons of breweries here, and I figured I'd pick up. Right now I'm drinking Von Egbert German Pils, and it's from Portland. It's pretty good. Again, I'm not like a fancy. I'm not like I don't like IPAs or things with a lot of flavor. This is just like a straight up Pilsner, and it's nice.
So then, what's your go-to beer? Obviously, you can see Jim's behind him is the Keystone.
Keystone. I'm also a huge fan of AVGN. And I picked up the Rolling Rock. I go Rolling Rock, or I go. It's only out here. This thing called Montucky. It's like, it's got like this like vapor wavy kind of like, it's like a horse with like on like an '80s background.
I'm looking at it right now. Yeah, it's like a Pegasus over a rainbow or something.
Yeah, and its slogan is a cold snack. So I drink that too. That's also piss water, but yeah.
That's awesome. Damn, but it's 8% alcohol. Is that true?
Really?
Oh, no,
is that why
no. I'm sorry. At the bottom of the can, it says 8% back to society or something. And I was like, oh shit. No, it's only 4.1%, but nice. Now you know what, Jim and I. When we started doing this, one of the things was how much we wanted to rave and love about Lion's Head. And Lion's Head Light, more specifically, because we're like, it's so underrated. It's so cheap. And you know what? It's not bad. So our whole premise at first was like, people shit on bad beers, but, you know, they still get the job done. They still get you messed up and at a much lower price. And something like Lion's Head. So I love the little niche, like, market. So Montucky, I've never heard of that, but that's one I definitely want to try because I love that. I love those little ones like that.
Oh yeah, I got a question for you guys. Is there a certain before you guys I guess get into your drinks, but is there a certain beer you can't drink anymore because you've had that night where you drank too much of it, like threw it up, and then like every time you drink it, it's just straight to throw up taste?
Ooh, I mean, for me, it's bottom shelf vodka. Ooh, and I'm saying like the stuff that tastes like pure rubbing alcohol, just because every time I ever had that was when I was already too fucked up. I would do a shot of it, and I knew it was coming soon after. Now, here's the deal. I'm fine with regular vodka now, but I don't take straight shots of it anymore. But bottom shelf vodka, the smell of that will be like like Vladimir's and all that shit. That's my no-no spot.
Jaeger and Fireball. I have puked up both of them so many goddamn times. And it's bad enough when you're puking it up and it starts to come out of your nose and stuff like that. But when you have that that overly sweet sugary liquor that's coming out of there too for that like little extra burn with the little taste of candy on the back end, that's when you really know that you've made some choices there. Like, I mean, there's been tons of bachelor parties and shit like that. We're like, hey, we're going out, and I'm like, I'm not. I'm just still sitting there after we've been passing around the bottle the night before.
Yeah.
It's funny because like beers, the chances are you can get really blackout drunk. And we've had some really strong beers, and I did one of the last podcasts we were on, I mixed like 4 extremely like over 10% up to 14% beers. and I felt like shit the next day. I didn't throw up. I just felt like shit.
Right.
But luckily, beer like fills you up, whereas I think liquor, that's going to be the thing. Yeah, when you overdo it on that, that's
See, I have a weird one. It's Miller High Life.
Really?
Can't drink it.
Really?
Because I just used to drink it so hard when I was a kid, like in my 20s.
Yeah.
And stuff I don't know, so many nights of just puking all over myself and just being a fucking degenerate. So I just can't drink it anymore. I don't know. Like, it's nice beer, but, it's nice, cheap beer.
It's a champagne of beers. I mean, come on.
Actually, what do you call it? The last time we had that is when they came out the actual champagne bottle of that. So we got it for the podcast one night, and like it was still like lukewarm, and the whole time we're drinking, we're just like, ugh, takes me back.
Beer. I will say certain beer will, like, smelling it, especially warm, will bring my mind back to like bad hangovers, bad parties. Like that undeniable smell of like warm. Even Rolling Rock's a good example because Jim and I both in this area. A lot of people like Rolling Rock. A lot of parties I had, I'd get kegs of it. And, that's the thing. The smell of a warm, people leaving their cups all over a warm Rolling Rock. Usually has cigarette butts or something. It's.
Dude, Rolling Rock's like an old friend. Like, I go a while without having it. Then every once in a while, I'm like, you know what? I want some fucking Rolling Rock. And I get it. It's just like, It's like drinking nostalgia. It's like so goddamn good.
I'm never sad when I have a nice cold Rolling Rock. And you know what? I do like, for the gimmick almost of it, is getting the little pony bottles. Because, like, they're goddamn adorable. But, like, a good Rolling Rock, man, it's not a bad beer at all. I'll say that.
Can't go wrong.
Yeah. Now, what do you got tonight, Chambers?
Well, actually, it's funny that Travis spoke about seltzers because the last time I had this beer, I had this after having about like 14 seltzers, and I was viciously hungover the next day. And I was like, I think that goddamn beer was the one that really sent me over. So, coming from the Broken Goblet Brewery, the No One Likes Us, We Don't Care, unfiltered India Pale Ale. So it's got Jason Kelsey and his outfit on there after the Eagles won the Super Bowl. So they're still going with this one. And it's a solid unfiltered IPA. A lot of flavor in there, 6.2% alcohol. And I mean, if you like you some it's not overly strong, but you definitely get the hoppiness like coating the back of your throat and everything like that.
Now, Jim, I was going to say, they could still be going with it, or is that just an old beer?
No. What do you call it? My friend Matt was over a couple weeks ago, and he brought it, like, fresh from the brewery, so.
Oh, nice.
They're still selling it out of there. Right, we're Philadelphia. We're going to hold on to this one championship for the next 70 years, so it's all we got.
We got to, Jim. We have to.
Right. I grew up a Mets fan, so I know about losing.
Yeah.
Oh, you poor bastard. One of our good buddies is a hardcore Mets fan, and every once in a while, we just like to poke him. I'll barely follow baseball because the Phillies have been such bottom feeders for a decade now. But I'll tune in every once in a while, and like they'll be playing the Mets, and it'll be like, "Hey, Bal, this sucked today," and he'll be like, "Shut up," and then just like won't talk to me for like a week.
Yep. So I am going with the Bitburger Brewery's Radler. It's their lemon Radler. It came in a German pack between Bitburger and I forget the other name. I always like to try. I mean, German beers are always pretty damn good, and I didn't know something like this was going to be in it because I'm used to them having like really good lagers. This is a weird one. On their site, they're saying it's 2.5%. On the back of the can, it's saying 1.9%. And I don't know. It doesn't taste like beer. Like, it has the fizz of a beer, but it tastes literally like just a lemon drink. And it's actually good. It would be a perfect session beer if you like lemon. Not what I was expecting.
And not getting drunk.
Because basically it's a Pilsner. So it's surprisingly, there is a lot of lemon. You can see like there's a lot of sediment at the bottom of my glass. So yeah, it's a weird one, but I like the flavor. It's just not going to do anything in the alcohol department. So I'll have to up it for my next one.
Hey, you can get drunk off of Duels. You just need to drink a lot of Duels.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, what is non-alcoholic beer? Isn't it like what's the percentage? It is there.
Yeah, it's like something like 0.2 or something like that.
Yeah.
It's interesting though. Going back to my history with beer, I mean, the original beer wasn't necessarily even alcoholic. Like what the Egyptians used to make and stuff like that. It was just they used the process to just make the water safer. So. You think people back in the day just drinking beer and getting hammered. A lot of time those drinks weren't even, giving you a buzz.
It was just that or dysentery.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, since you are a history buff, I did read a book. It was about a year or two ago. It's about basically the history of beer, but more specifically, like they focus a little bit more like once it got really big in Europe and when it was brought over to the States and through Prohibition and everything. And yeah, like it is fascinating. Like it was very tied to the friars and what we think of the monks because that's where they would store all of it because nobody would go in there and vandalize it, and it would be the drinking supply for the town. And yeah, that's the way the kids would be drinking like very small percentage ales because that was cleaner water than what they would get anywhere else.
It's pretty insane how like it's baked into our DNA at this point. They can look at your genetics, and like that's the reason why there's like that Asian flush thing. It's like they didn't really have beer in that area of the world, but our like if you're white or from like the Middle East and places like that. Like there's in your DNA, it says like you can drink beer and you're gonna like it.
Yeah, and you might be, and you can honestly probably handle it better. I mean, there's something to that too. It's genetic. It's not just bullshit.
Yeah, but I love me a good Japanese rice beer. That's
your Asashis and stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
You must get a whole ton of different ones over there too in Portland, don't you? Probably shit we don't even get.
Portland is like just so flooded with like just Portland breweries. Like there's so many breweries here. So like whenever you go into a store, it's just like all shit. I mean, there's like Rogue. You guys get Rogue out there,
oh, yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. But like just all these little microbreweries that whenever you go into a store, it's like, what am I looking at here?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I know the feeling. There's one time we visited my wife's friend in St. Louis, and we went to like a tap house, so it had like 100 different things on tap. And she was like, "What do you want?" And I was like, "Look, I'm from out of town. Just give me something local that you would recommend." And she's like, "I got you." And she just like started going down the line.
So you mentioned, Trav, you were originally from New York.
Yeah. We're everyone from Roast Mortem, all Long Island boys.
So why the shift to Portland? That feels like a very big shift.
I was working in Manhattan, and it was just kind of like doing that grind, getting on the train every day. I just wanted to switch it up, and I took a job out here. Now I'm doing freelance, but I moved out here right before COVID, so I really haven't been able to do anything.
Yeah,
everything's just opening up again. So
I was gonna say, yeah, that's a hell. I mean, that's cross country. That's crazy.
Yeah.
But how are you liking it out there so far?
It's nice. I miss the snow. I like some torture, right? So like, we don't have any snow here, so it's funny. The city shuts down when there's like a dusting. And everyone's like, I don't know how to drive in this. I'm across the street from a Trader Joe's, and I just watch people like just spinning their wheels. I'm like, no rocking motion, just yeah.
Yeah, I laugh whenever I see those towns. And I guess we can't sympathize being from the Northeast. We see every weather extreme, whereas I guess, other parts of the country, you don't see that. So it's, but I say, just grow up. It's just snow.
Just snow.
Yeah.
Now, with you being stuck in a new city and not being able to explore the city yet, you must have had some time for games, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I've been playing a bunch of games. I've been so busy that I kind of fell out from games for about like 6 months, just moving to a new city. But like, I jumped right back into it. I've been on Steam. I was able to somehow score a PS5 by following one of those like Twitter, one of those guys that post whenever they have shit in stock.
Yeah.
I just sat there and just like was like, oh please. It took me like 6 months. But so yeah, I've been like going. I have like a backlog that I'm working my way through from the past year. So
that's awesome. What any game in particular like that you really stuck on or playing the most right now?
I am a big first-person shooter fan, and I think we're going to talk about this tonight a little bit.
Oh yeah,
Battlefield fucking bummed me out real hard. So I've been playing a lot of Hell Let Loose, which is that like World War II super kind of realistic.
It looks really cool.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's very technical. Like you can sit there and just run supplies, and there's like a commander and all this shit. So I've been playing a lot of that, and I just started playing Cyberpunk for the first time. So.
Oh shit! Nice. Yeah. Is it living up to the disappointment for you, or are you actually enjoying it?
I'm really enjoying it. The dick slider feature, I mean, I know I'm past the joke on that, but I mean, I just sat there for about a half an hour changing the size of his dick and watching it like wobble a little bit when you change it.
I mean, listen, everyone who games, there's a low level of immaturity. We all do.
Oh yeah. No, I'm really enjoying it actually. I'm not disappointed at all. I'd see how you'd be disappointed if you got a broken game if you pre-ordered it.
Yeah.
But at least it's all patched up now, and I'm having a good time with it.
Awesome. What about you, Chambers? And Chambers, speaking of, you never even mentioned it last week. You also scored the PS5 too.
Yes, I did.
Ooh.
Bri, don't ask if I've set it up yet.
I know you haven't. I'm sure it's still in the box. I know you're not going to get a game for at least 3 months, and even if you do, that's going to stay wrapped for a while.
It'll be before 3 months. I am actually trying to
is-
decide what the first game I'm going to get is.
It is the biggest waste on someone who's just a shelf collector, and we know this.
I will get my goddamn use out of it. Don't you worry about that. But I am making my way through some other games first. Of course, like I make all these resolution games. I'm like, oh, I'm going to put a lot more time in my Xbox than I have in ages. And it's like, oh, I get an opportunity to buy a PS5. Guess I'm doing that. So,
So what you been playing now?
so finally, fucking finished up Plague Tale: Innocence, and
What'd you think?
I thought it was great. It was
Nice.
like it tells. So actually, Travis, you would probably love this game because it's set during like the Black Plague and like the 100 Years' War. So
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's like a combination of like stealth with like almost like kind of puzzle solving elements and stuff like that. But
Yeah,
like,
I've been listening to you guys talk about it. I downloaded it on my PlayStation. I just haven't gotten to it yet, but
yeah, it's real drab and depressing. Like there is no joy to be found in it. It's like fucking perfect set piece kind of game. But yeah,
That's
if
what
I
I
only
love.
had one criticism, it would be like except for some boss fights at the end, it's a little easy, but like
Yeah.
it's definitely
It's
a lot
not
harder
hard.
in the beginning. But besides that, no, it was a great time.
Yeah, and like I said, the thing I like the most about that game is the that's a good example of you get attached to a character. And like I said, when you see some of the characters die from the rats, it really gets to you. You're like, son of a bitch, and you actually care about them more than a lot of other games where I'm just trying to get through. So I know they're coming out with the sequel, so I'm excited for that because, like I said, I went into that game having zero expectations.
Oh yeah, same here. Yeah, so if you like
Nice.
games where you can watch children get eaten by hordes of rats, this is the game for you.
that sounds like my dreams every night.
You been playing anything else, or was that the main one you just polished?
That was
off?
like the biggest one. I finally finished off. Like I wanted to beat Tekken. Like I never played through Tekken 3 really that much, so I beat that a bunch of times on arcade mode. So I
Nice.
basically wanted to unlock most of the characters before I considered it, quote unquote beat. So did a bunch of that, and yeah, that's really the newest stuff. And I actually just started in on Astral Chain on the Switch. So Platinum Games game. I actually have the box right here. Basically, you play like futuristic cops, and you control these like demon monsters with your chain thing, and it's actually pretty damn cool.
How big are the anime titties?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, they cover up the titties, but there is nice anime butt shots, so you at least get that.
Damn it, Jim.
Okay.
What? Damn it. Damn it.
What?
You know what? Don't say
Look, Brian,
what.
I played enough anime titty games. I had to move on to some anime ass. All right, I had to be culture myself here.
So yeah, I've been chugging along with The Witcher 3, which, like you said, great game, but just impossibly long. So I kind of dropped everything though with the release of Total War Warhammer 3, and I did dive hard into that. But I did finish off that puppet combo game I was mentioning, the Christmas Massacre, and dear God, there is a stage in that it makes me feel like I feel bad. It's like when you watch a really bad horror movie or a dramatic movie, like The Kids or something, and you don't feel good after you watch it. That's what that game did. Kind of like the No Russian mission in Call of Duty. You're like, oh, this just feels terrible. So yeah, very messed up game, but I finished it off because I'm trying to bang out all the puppet combo games. So there's not many left, but yeah, it was a thing. That's all I can say about that.
I love
Long
getting
endorsement right there.
Yeah, I love getting
sorry, go ahead,
detached.
Trev.
I love getting detached from reality with like something that's depressing or mundane. Shenmue is one of my favorite games. Going to work and moving boxes around.
Yeah,
Then to
Shenmue-
relax, go to the arcade in your game.
Yeah, it's meta, dude. That's Zuck.
dude. Well,
Did you actually play 3 yet, or?
I was part of the Kickstarter for it.
Oh, really?
and
Oh, wow.
yeah, but I never played it. It came out, and I was just like, "Oh man, all right, I'll get to it." I have a
Yeah,
lot
I
of
can't
things that like I
say.
have like I'll get to it type of thing.
you sound like Jim.
Yeah, I was gonna say I cannot say anything to that at all. I cannot bash. That is me to a T. Like I've had games be like, you know what the worst with it is? Like even Kickstarter games when they come in, I'm like, oh okay, this finally came in. They have a better release schedule than fucking limited run games at this point. Because like I'll get a package in the mail or something. I'm like, what the hell is this? Limited run? it'll be from something I pre-ordered like a year and a half ago, and I'm like, I don't even care about this anymore.
Yeah. Well, that's the exact. So I think I've actually played every Castlevania from the goddamn limited release thing that I ordered. So by the time I get it, it'll just be like, oh, it's a thing. I have it. So yeah, I'm completely done with limited run.
Brian's gateway into shelf collecting. This is how it starts.
No, but I play the games, Jim. You're like, let me just replay the same game over and over.
Hey, I spent all month playing goddamn new games, goddammit. I just have dozens and dozens, and I have too much shit. I have way too much shit.
So, Trav, you mentioned these like meta games and these goofy ass. One of the things we've been noticing, and I've noticed a lot, is these super more mundane, straight up chore games. I call them. Like there's Power Wash Simulator, Lawnmower Simulator. Like, have you ever played any of those?
I have. I saw one that was like trending on Steam. It was like Unpack Your House, the game, or something like that. I was just like, dude, I've moved so many times. Like, that is such a pain in the ass. Like, I don't care if it's like Tetris. Like, fuck that. Yeah, no, I haven't really played any of them. I'm trying to think. I mean, the slowest game I play a lot of Civilization as a history nerd. That's not really mundane, but, you know. Yeah, I can't think of any that I've played.
Now, do you play, being you know, a history nerd, do you like RTSs like Age of Empires and things like that?
Those ones never really kind of got me.
Really?
RTSs in general. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I like turn-based more just because you can kind of like sit there. I used to play chess a lot when I was a kid, and like, you know, just like taking your time with stuff that's strategic like that. Like I love like what's that game? XCOM, where you can actually do the
tactical,
you know,
shooter,
you can do the tactical thing. Everything stops and you can think about it. But I'm also a huge fan of just like history games in general. Like I replayed Kingdom Come Deliverance not that long ago, which I love. So
now, see, a good game for you then would be probably the Total War games, since that is more turn-based. That is very global, strategic, and if you do want to fuck with history, like that was my whole thing is like, you get the parameters that are supposed to be as close to history as possible, but then you're like, what would happen if you know, you're playing as England and you're like, I'm gonna just take over the entire map. Like you just take it to the next level. So yeah, there's a lot of strategy in that, and I'm the same way. I love strategy is my favorite part of those games. So you take a lot of time. The battles are cool. It is awesome controlling huge armies. I care less about that than just strategy of the whole like grand campaign, if you will.
Right, and I'm not Korean, so like I'll never be as good as StarCraft or anything like that, you know. So I'm not even gonna compete, you know.
I'm a StarCraft player. I'm a perennial goal leaguer, and that's like the second level up from bottom. So, actually, what do you call it? When you play Civ, are you more the diplomatic kind? Do you try to be like a warmonger? You win the economic war? What's your go-to?
I usually go for like a cultural win. I'm like all about building wonders, you know. But occasionally I'll be like aggressive. I'll run as like Attila or something like that and just fuck people up.
What's the longest game of that you've ever played? Because that shit can take goddamn forever.
Oh man, you know, it's funny. It's kind of like how I play most of my games. Like I'll get like I was playing what was the game that came out? The samurai one that was on PlayStation. I can't remember the name of it. Sekiro, yeah. Oh, not Sekiro. The other one, the Ghost of Tsushima.
Oh, that's right.
Yep.
Yeah. So I'm the same way with Civ, where I'll start a campaign and I'll like get really into it, and then I'll just like forget about it, just like never beat it.
And then you just come back, move on. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll probably do that with Cyberpunk too. It's like all my games, I just kind of like fall off at some point and go back to my first-person shooters, so I can just turn my brain off.
Yep. You're singing the choir to Jim there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, I'm too much. I tried to get into Civ for a little bit, and I realized I am too much of an impatient dum-dum for that. I'm like, credit to you, man. I cannot keep my patience or like no.
Yeah, Jim, that's all about you always lose in board games.
Yeah, I'm all about like the beginning of those games where like you're actually building, you know, like building all these cities and stuff, and then once it hits the modern age, and you're just kind of like, my turn is taking 20 minutes because everything needs to move. Then I'm like, all right, I did enough.
Yep. Nice. So, Chambers, what do we got? I feel like we got a good amount of questions this week from our awesome patrons. So, who do we got?
Yes, patreon.com/DrinkABeerandPlayAGame, where for as little as $2 a month, you can ask a question that we'll answer on each and every single one of these Power Hour podcasts. First up, from JD Maines, a new beat-em-up, TMNT Shredder's Revenge, from the developers of Streets of Rage 4 is scheduled for this year. As a Ninja Turtles fanboy in the late 80s and 90s who played the arcade and NES games, I can't effing wait to play it. My question, if this game is as good or better than Streets of Rage 4, could this revive the beat-em-up genre in the game industry? Maybe I'm just not on the cutting edge of gaming, but it seems like the last 10 years we've only gotten a handful of them.
I would love for that to be true. I hope it's number one. I am very, very excited for that game. I'm way more excited for that than I even was a Streets of Rage game. I was excited for Streets of Rage, but this one I'm really excited for. And yeah, I mean, the success of Streets of Rage 4 can't be, downplayed. This I'm sure will hit like gangbusters, and then they'll probably say like, take stab at all the old ones. Maybe bring back Double Dragon in this way. Maybe bring back Final Fight. Like, who knows? Whatever they can do. But if they see that it's successful, do it. What I'm looking forward to is, already I'm thinking like, they've announced, what is it? The 4 Turtles, April O'Neil, and Splinter you can play as?
Yeah.
The first DLC, just like Streets of Rage, is going to be Casey Jones, Shredder. They're going to let you play as other people. Like, that's
sure.
going to come. But, I'm really, really excited. It looks great, and I'm sure it's going to be a lot of fun. So I hope it actually does give a little revival.
They have to do a deep cut and have you, like, unlock Vanilla Ice so you can do that.
I know. They better. What the hell are the name of the Toka and Razar? Was that their names?
The movie versions of Bebop and Rocksteady, whatever they were.
Right. No, but I'm excited, and I hope, because like I said, I would love, give me that for The Simpsons. Do it in the old Simpsons style and jokes, but give me a Simpsons beat 'em up, because as we've said, the arcade game, it is fun. It's overrated, but it's fun. Give all the franchise. Give X-Men again. Give them all a go. Like, why not? Because everyone will gobble them up, and it is a style of gaming that, like, everyone, hardcore gamers and new gamers alike, can really enjoy. So I say bring them all on.
Oh, yeah, and I played the ever-living shit out of Streets of Rage 4. So yeah, like you said, like, we're a little on the fence about it because we didn't know if Streets of Rage was going to be good. But since we knew that was good, now I'm just like all in on Turtles. And actually the genre kind of has had a revival because we've had like the River City Girls games, Streets of Red, Double Dragon Neon, the new Battletoads, like a whole bunch of these ones have been coming back. Scott Pilgrim finally got re-released after 10 years in licensing hell and all that stuff. So there's been a bit of a revival, but this could just add to it. So yes,
we
more
need
franchises.
We need the big ones though, not just the niche ones.
Niche. Double Dragon's not niche.
River City Girls is niche, Jim.
What? I mean, if you live in Japan, Kunio-kun's huge. So shit.
Where do we live? Wait, let me Google my location right now. Do I see the rising sun? I don't think I do. Hold on.
I want to see a Dilbert beat 'em up.
A Dilbert.
Just more
Nice.
like 90s culture beat 'em ups that you wouldn't, like, I don't know.
I just want the boss to be like his boss to be a boss with like the hair coming out the sides and he does like a spinning attack. Just fucks you up with him.
I mean, shit, go 90s, just like when people made Family Matters and all those, like, literally, do a whole, like, TGIF beat 'em up and do multiple characters. I mean, I guess it would work better as a fighting game, but, yeah, do it. All guys our age will buy the shit out of it, I guarantee.
No, fuck that, I want to kick ass as Balky. Give me it as a beat 'em up.
God damn it, Jim.
Man, good question there.
Great
Next
question,
up,
JD.
from Snarkcast. Joke question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Are you both still suffering from the bacon and corn sodas?
What was your follow-up to it? How did you feel the next day?
I felt fine, but like my tummy was definitely rumbly in the early part of the day. So, speaking of our lovely patrons, for as little as $1, you can check out our most recent patron-exclusive video, where we try out a bunch of odd, weird flavored sodas like ranch dressing and sweet corn and barbecue or buffalo wing. Yeah, that was way more rough than I thought it was going to be.
Man, the things we do for our patrons. I went through every single flavor of Chef Boyardee in one sitting. I mukbanged it. Ugh,
Oh, God.
I was
There's
being
a lot of those, too.
Nick avocado or whatever. Boy.
I was about to say you're the Chef Boyardee Nikocado. Shit.
Well, Jim, I did, it's funny, after we did that, I was like, let me get the link to it. There are some other flavors out there, Jim.
Oh, good.
Ugh.
And they get weirder, is all I'm going to say. There is
good.
fresh cut grass.
Oh.
Jim.
So does that assume that one of the people who works there had to eat the grass first to realize what the flavor profile would be so he could recreate it?
Well, here's the deal, Jim. Do you remember when we did the Bean Boozled thing?
Yes.
And how oddly accurate some of, like, the dog
Actually, I
food
think grass
one-
was one of them, too.
Yeah, like
And
grass.
we're like-
That's why I was saying it. Like grass was one of them. Now some of them, like whatever it was, like socks. You're like, this
Boogers.
just tastes bad. Booger. Like you're like, this is weird. But like there are ones where you're like, I can imagine this is actually what dog food tastes like or grass tastes like, and they hit it the nail on the head. So yeah, I don't know how they come up with those. What are they called, esters or whatever? But yeah, they're very weird.
And actually, while we're on the subject, Trav, why don't you plug your Patreon while you're at it?
Patreon.com/Roast Mortem. I think it's just Roast Mortem or Roast Mortem Cast. I can't remember. We do some movie commentaries. We put out some content. We do little mini roasts sometimes. We did this guy, Crazy Eddie, who was a local, like, tri-state area TV salesman. So, yeah.
Nice.
Go check us out.
Yeah, he was like the one that Futurama robot that kept exploding was based on, right?
Yeah. I mean, he's probably in the Philly area, too. I think he expanded all the Northeast. It was like...
I think he was around here.
Yeah.
Did you guys ever get Robin's Diamonds up in New York?
No.
Shit. That's a classic staple around here in like Delaware and shit like that. He had a diamond in his beard and he like like would sing a song in like a 70s like tracksuit and like a really deep voice.
Yeah.
Was he like a cash for gold but with diamonds?
Basically.
Yeah,
okay.
that's actually a good way to put it.
Wait, now Trav, not to keep derailing, but I just thought one of an easy episode for you guys. Are you gonna cover Bob Saget?
Ooh, yeah, that's a good one. That is a good one. We probably should. Yeah.
Because as you said, you did George Bush Sr. soon after, so
Yeah, we probably should get on that train for sure.
Cover and give your conspiracy theories for his fall that led to it.
Yeah, right.
Dude, but between him and Trevor Moore, we've had all these like mysterious like comedian deaths lately. Where it's like, what happened? Oh, it was an accident. What was the accident? Right.
Yeah, right. Well, how did Norm Macdonald? He just had a heart attack or some shit, right? Or cancer or something like
Cancer.
he had cancer that he just basically told nobody
Or did he?
about.
that. Or did he?
Well, so no, who was that question from, Jim?
That was from Snarkast.
Snarkast. Thank you, Todd. Appreciate it, bud.
Yep. Next up from Phony Montana. Do either of you guys, I can't read. Don't think either of you guys are NBA fans, but for the fuck of it, who is this year's MVP? I'll give you a hint. He plays for our local team. Also, who's the GOAT? LeBron or Michael Jordan?
Jim, you can answer. I don't watch basketball at all. I don't even watch the highlights. I don't care that much, to be honest. I stopped after
I
grade
barely
school.
watch, but like I'll tune in every once in a while, or like it's definitely something I can sit there and watch at a bar and enjoy it. But fuck it, I'm going Embiid too. The man's putting up crazy numbers, and he basically carries his team, especially when we had that goddamn bum Ben Simmons before we finally booted his ass out of here. So yeah, I'll give it to Embiid, and for the GOAT, it's gotta be Jordan.
Yeah.
Can't beat 6 titles. Can't be a guy who like never lost once he got to the big game. So
Yeah, I agree, Jordan. What about you, Trav?
Bill Clinton from NBA Jam. Hands down.
God damn it, he's right.
That is the best.
And last up from Alex Perez, what is the story of how you guys started creating YouTube content?
I mean, Jim and I
An
were
excuse
both,
to get away from the girlfriends.
That's the backbone, I'll say, of it. It was a good excuse to get together, play video games. Jim, he had a decent collection, and so did I, but we weren't anywhere near like what we are today.
Oh no.
But we knew we were both really into games, and at the time, like, you know, we were both big fans of AVGN. We said many, many times, like, that was probably the go-to. I know Jim watched a few other YouTubes, but I didn't. And my whole thing was, when I started watching other YouTube reviewers, my whole thought was, I didn't like how inconsistent I felt reviewers were, and I was like, I think we can review things better and keep a fair base across them. Whereas, like, everyone gave everything an 8, a 9, a 10. Like, I was like, games aren't really that good. And then it just was like, I can't even, to be honest, like, I don't even remember when it was like, the spark was like, do beer with games. And then it wasn't so much about pairing the beer with the game. It was more like, we're going to just be drinking beers while playing the game. And eventually it morphed into the whole, like, I'm going to pair beers with games as a gimmick. But, yeah, I mean, because if you look at our first 10 reviews, it's like, while playing this game, we drank Lion's Head, Stella Artois. You know, like, it was just...
Miller Lite.
Yeah, it was like 5 in a row, because we would literally sit down, and we'd probably go an hour or 2 per game, but we would bang out a bunch of games in a long session over a lot of beer. So...
That's one of my favorites when, like, a comment on, like, a super old video is like, hey, this video is terrible. You guys didn't get into this and this and this. Like, did you spend any time with it? And at this point, I'm just like, nah, we didn't.
Yeah. I mean, and that was the other factor of us. Like, we were trying to say, like, is a game still fun to just sit down and play? Not, if you spend 25, 30 hours with any game, you'll find something you like. But is it fun in an hour or two? And that's why, especially our baseball videos, when we talk top 10 baseball, like, we're not talking going through the career. Like, if you're sitting down playing a game, one of these NES baseball games with your friends, is it fun? And, you know, you break it down that way. So then it just kind of morphed into what it did. And it obviously has changed shape a little bit. Because I can say, we used to care, like, when we were doing reviews for beers, how much they cost was a factor. Because we were trying to give Lion's Head, like, a bump up the score. We're like, it's dirt cheap, so it gets extra points for being cheap.
Well,
he's down.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, and yeah, I guess the rest is really history. But it was just a mutual, like, let's find something to do. It's a hobby. We thought it would be fun to do, and yeah, now it's taken on a life of its own. But great question, Alex. I appreciate it, bud.
Yeah, lucky for us, those girlfriends became our wives, so they're used to this. So it's not like we dump this bullshit off on a new set of women.
Yeah. It would be much, much tougher to now just be like, I want to start something. Yeah.
So what are your hobbies? Let's not talk about that.
Yeah. Damn it, Jim.
It's all right. I have a whole weird... when I was going through dating like 4 years ago now, I collect a lot of, like, medieval weapons, so I'd always, like, bring my Tinder dates over, and then there'd be, like, you know, a musket or, like, a giant fucking claymore or something like that. Like, what apartment did I come back to?
Yeah, they're like, or they go in the room, they're like, why is there an Iron Maiden there? You're like, don't worry about that.
Hey, if I could get up to my 3rd-story apartment, I probably would be an Iron Man up there. These things are heavy.
Hey, let's go back to your place.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome, though. No, but,
yeah, well, it's the same deal when you bring them over. It's just like, oh, what's that? Oh, it's my box of Magic cards. What's that? That's my box of Yu-Gi-Oh cards. What's that? That's my box of HeroClix. All right, I'm leaving. All right, bye.
Jim, you're acting like you ever brought someone back. That's the lie right there.
Also do.
Love you, Jim.
I got hitched up right before the whole Tinder thing. Then I could have been there. I would have still fucked it up.
Is that it for our questions?
That wraps up the
week?
Patreon
Awesome.
questions for this week. So once again, thank you to everyone for the support, as always. Make sure to check the links below for the $1 tier for all of our exclusive videos. $2 tiers gets you to ask a question. $5 tier gets you a game request and bonus episodes of the podcast, which we will be recording the next episode of that this week. So keep an eye out for that. And we got some more tiers and more perks and all the good stuff. So check out patreon.com/DrinkABeerandPlayAGame.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. All right, Chambers, so we are back. What beer did you move on to?
So I am sticking with Broken Goblet. So I am drinking the Beware the Snowman German Dunkel. So it comes in at 5.4% alcohol, and this is a dark boy. So, but so far, pretty damn tasty.
Word for dark.
What's that?
Dunkel.
Well, aha. Once again, more books in my life would probably help me out. But yeah, this is good. This is tasty so far.
Yeah, no, I love Dunkels. They're always pretty good. And that's Broken Goblet, right?
Yep.
They're actually, I know they're PA. I just don't. Where are they in PA? Do you know?
Ben Salem.
Really? Oh
Yeah,
shit!
Right off
Nice,
of
yeah.
right off of Route 13. So big ass like brew tub. They have bands there all the time, shit like that. Like they got a nice establishment there. They used to
Jim,
be...
when we
Go on.
No, sorry, go ahead.
No, they used to be out of Bristol, like this little like like a lot of these breweries that like they're in the middle of like an industrial park and like they're like the smallest little warehouse where they have like one thing. Where they got real super popular. Now they have this like giant operation out of there.
So when we start doing our brewery tours, when we hit them up, we'll just have to try everything on the menu.
Oh, yeah, I mean, there's been I've been there like a number of times. Every time I go there, I'm viciously hungover the next day. Like I don't know what it is about like either how they make it or the alcohol content, but I am floored every time. So can't wait.
Well, you guys being PA boys, I think Pennsylvania has like one of the best hangover breakfast foods ever. And that's that like hot chip beef or whatever.
Cream chip beef.
Cream chip beef. Oh my God. Whenever I'm in that area, I always go to a diner. I'm like, cream chip beef now.
Yeah, the best Philly staples, I'd say.
Scrapple?
I mean, yeah, Scrapple, and then it's not Philly, but I feel like it is very Philly-ish. It's like the pork roll, egg and cheese sandwich.
Ooh, I haven't had that.
Yeah, that is a damn delicious thing to get for being hungover. But yeah, no, we PA.
Yeah,
we're
fail for having our shit food.
Yeah.
But goddamn, does it come in handy? Oh yeah, some cream cheese beef. Just pour that, get a side of Scrapple, fucking mix it all together.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, I am sticking with the Bitburger Brewery, but now I'm moving on to their premium pills. And this can is really shiny. It looks like the White Ranger. It comes in at 4.8%, so still pretty low in alcohol, and surprisingly foamy head. It almost looks like a goddamn like
whoa, what the fuck?
Yeah, it's like it just does not. The head does not want to go down. It's pure foam at the top.
Very excited. Very excited right
it's like whoop. So yeah, I haven't been able to taste it because I'm not trying to get the full foam stash, but yeah, I'm sure it's gonna be good.
Right, take the beer cream pie.
Damn it. What about you, Trav? You sticking with the same beer?
No, I switched over to another Portland. So I'm a big wheat beer fan. Like I love Hoegaarden. But I picked this thing up, and then I realized that it has pink guava in it, which made it all weird. It's the Laurel Wood Brewing Company, the Laurel Weissen.
Okay.
Yeah. I probably should have known from the big pink can, but I'm like, oh, guava, what?
You just saw the green side.
Is it too fruity for you?
It's not. To be honest, it's not overwhelming. I've had like worse, and I think the wheat beer is so like that flavor is so strong that this is almost like overpowering the fruitiness.
So it might just be like a nice subtle little kick.
Yeah, it says it's a true session beer. What is this? What does session beer mean, anyways? Is that just like you can chill on a beer? Is that?
It basically means it's very drinkable, usually lower alcohol percent, and something that's like not going to get you fucked up after like even one or two.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
So it's the way from
so that's what I'm having now too. Basically, all mine have been session beer, so
right.
I don't even feel them.
You're not dealing with those like 10% stouts that will kill you. And
yeah, and they're almost meant to be drank kind of quicker. And like more casually, like you're not drinking it for all the flavor, if you will.
Now I'll do what I always do and say that for your show, because the last two guest appearances we've done on Not for Human Consumption and Thought Cops, I don't remember the end of doing those shows. So I started off with like 10% beers, and by the end I'm like,
No.
I'm just checking the socials the next day, like, all right, nothing, all right, I'm safe.
Which word did I say? Go through the alphabet.
Well, luckily we are also an edited show, so
you need that for Jim.
Smart boys, not your first rodeo.
Whenever I love Not for Human Consumption, but whenever I've been on there, I'm like, cause I got fucked up last time I was on their show too. I'm like, what the fuck did I just say?
Yeah. It's encouraged.
Yeah.
All right, Chambers. So one of these topics you actually threw up here, it actually goes tight with what Travis said he was going to mention.
Oh, he was so excited when he saw this.
Yes.
It's an amazing, I'll call it a cop-out, and that's the only thing I'm going to call it, but from Eurogamer.net, there was an interview or a town hall that was had at EA, and they're essentially saying some of Battlefield 2042's issues were due to Halo Infinite and its release. Wow. That's, now, Is this just the atypical, very human thing of like it's never us, it's somebody else's fault? It's like it's almost like the meta version of playing an FPS. Whenever you die, it's not because you're bad; it's because the other guy was cheating or doing something wrong. Like it's kind of almost on the nose, that reaction, and I find that part of it very hilarious. But Trav, I know you're playing Battlefield 2042, or you were.
I was,
so,
yeah. Dude,
So
I've been
give us your take on it.
I have been a longtime Battlefield fan. I forgot where exactly I started playing in the series. And DICE and EA have just progressively like been shutting off their like listening to their fans. And it's just been like it happened with the last one, Battlefield Battlefield 5 or whatever.
Yeah.
I loved Battlefield 1, but a lot of people didn't like that. But it's just constantly been getting more and more like detached from the community. In terms of like pulling back like servers, being able to like buy your own server and shit like that. We're like, you don't need that. Listen to us. Like we know what we're, and it's always rushed. They always have a shitty launch. And just hearing this like town hall meeting, like I followed a couple other YouTubers that I follow like Battlefield YouTubers.
Yeah.
And they were like, it is such a slap in the face that you're trying to say Master Chief fucking. You're using him as an excuse for your shitty broken game that doesn't even have a fucking scoreboard. How do you have a shooter and doesn't have a scoreboard? That's like they've been out.
Really?
Yeah, this game's been out for it's going to be around 6 months now, and their first big update is adding a fucking scoreboard, and that's coming out the end of March.
Is there any chance they did that because they were afraid of the number of people and showing that maybe there's not like that's a very weird thing that it's been in all the previous games, right?
Well, they also took out voice chat, like squad chat, and their big thing is like they're trying to be like a nanny company where it's like, oh, like first person shooter environments can be toxic, so like we're not gonna. You can't see your kill death ratio, and you can't talk to your squad unless if you're in like a separate party chat.
Oh my
it's like,
God.
dude, but that's like what makes playing a shooter fun is like talking shit and like looking at your score, seeing how well you do. Like you have no clue how good you're doing in that game because like you can't check.
You can't check. Yeah, and that is a staple. I mean, even when you're playing with your friends, I mean that's the thing. We talked about it many times. Our Call of Duty yearly release thing. It is fun. Like even say Jim on the 1 or 2 times he gets first place. Like we'll be like, yeah, but Jim, you got no kills, so you were just camping, getting points or something like that. Like it is fun to poke fun at, like, hey, but all you had were assists or something like that. So that's taking the fun out of it, and it's funny this idea of they want to remove it because there's a negative connotation, kind of like removing the actual ability to see the dislike button on YouTube now. Which on one hand, I will say, as a content creator, I don't even care. Like I never go deep enough to check, like, did something get a dislike now or before it was apparent. It's a weird thing, but like all these changes you're mentioning, because I was always Call of Duty guy. Our buddy Jason got me into Battlefield 3, and I got sucked. That and 4, like, dude, I love those games, and they are so different than Call of Duty that I couldn't convince any of my other friends to come over because it is a completely different experience. Like,
I play both. I play Vanguard as well. Like, Call of Duty's fun, arcadey. You can pick it up, do a few rounds. Battlefield has always been well, that's what it's always been. And like with the changes they made with 2042 or whatever the fuck the name, whatever year it came out in, it's just it's a shame because they turned it into a hero shooter too. Like instead of having classes and like relying on your squad, like having a medic, having support, now it's like Fortnite, not even Fortnite, like I guess like Siege sort of, or like it's a hero shooter, You pick your guy, he has special abilities, and the game doesn't play as strategic. That's why I like playing Call of Duty and Battlefield, because like I got my strategic shit, I got my arcade, shoot 'em, teabag 'em, and run around with a shotgun.
Do you think this is kind of due to the Star Wars Battlefront 2, like? Being like that was the most appealing part of that game is the mechanic of you actually become like Luke or Darth, and you become the hero with all these crazy abilities. So they're like, oh, that's an easy thing. We'll just throw that in the regular Battlefield.
Well, here's even more drama is that EA pulled DICE off of the Battlefront project after the shitty launch. They were like, we're going to give it to Respawn because you guys fucking suck. So
Now, was it them sucking, or was it EA's call that like threw like all the gotcha shit and all the loot boxes and all the bullcrap that they eventually like pulled back out before they re-released it? Like, was it ever said whose fault that was?
I to be honest, like I've been following it a bunch, and like I know EA is like the big devil, and like loot boxes and shit are bad, but like hearing like the directors and obviously the programmers of the games and the 3D modelers, like totally not their fault. They're doing their job. I work in a creative field. I do what I'm told. But like the leaders of DICE just have this like weird fucking mentality. Like, we know what's fun. Like we're not gonna listen to you guys. This is what our vision is. You know.
Weird. Because like that was like the fucking
strange.
back in the late 360 era. Like that was like the Call of Duty killer basically. Like everyone was talking about Battlefield. Like that. Like 3, 4. Like you guys are talking about like Bad Company 2 and 3. I think like everyone was just like, holy shit. Like, you know, new guys in town. And then like, I guess ever since fucking Battlefield 1, it was like that first like little down thing.
Yeah.
Well, it was weird with 1. Like that's where they started finger pointing at fans. They're like, oh, you guys are just pieces of shit and don't want to see a woman on the cover.
Right.
And they started creating a rift. It's like, what? And they're like, we actually have more problems with these weird abilities you're doing in a World War I shooter. Like, that was a bigger problem, but sure, if you want to say it's that. And then, they kept driving that divide, and it's weird when a company decides to take a stand against their fan base. I don't get that.
And also, like, I get inclusivity and stuff, and, like, you know, for sure, I think Battlefield 1 did it great because, you know, the women they added into the game were actually historical women units.
Yeah.
Like, they added it was like the Russian Death Squad or something. They were all Russian snipers. It was like a group of women. But then when Battlefield 5 came out, and they're like, every race for like every gender for like the access and the allies is like, dude, I'm not black, but I'm like, as a black person, do you want to be a Nazi? Because like, you know what I mean? Like, do we need to add black people to the Germans? Like, no, it's all blonde white people, and they're terrible people.
Bunch of black guys going, when's it gonna be my turn?
Yeah,
when can I be the Nazi?
That really sucks, because you know what? I will say, since 3, I think I have every Battlefield except for 5. I'm a very late adopter. Like, I'll wait till it's dirt cheap. Probably not many people on the servers, but I still, like, mechanically I enjoy the game. But all these little problems that you're describing, like, I'll wait even longer. And until this game is fully patched, bug-free, and all the other issues are done, I'm probably not touching it until it's...
It's a shame with some of these big games, because, like I said, I'm playing... Cyberpunk right now, and it's like that launched with all these problems. Battlefield launches with all these problems. Like, why? What? They release the game like a year and a half before it's done.
Yeah.
And it's funny that they're like blaming like the release of like Halo Infinite, because like that released with a lot of shit missing from it. Like, I don't think it had like a real progression system when it first came out, and it was like multiplayer only, so they didn't even give you the full game yet, and all that other crap. Like, it's not like that was a pristine finished product. So like, you're saying you're less than like the beta test, basically? Holy shit.
They're just salty, and they blame Master Chief, man. That's not cool.
But also, like, I don't know, the way I read this article, it kind of felt like it wasn't something that was meant to go out to the public. You know, there is something to be said, like, they're just someone in the office. Even if they are a shithead saying something silly, like it's Halo's fault, it's not like that's their public opinion. Like, there is something, like...
Right.
Someone could have just been like, is it Halo's fault? Like, you know, that's the only thing I don't like about some of this leak shit, because you're like, you should be able to say some dumb shit behind closed doors, especially if it's something like this. But now it's like, you just added so much fuel to the fire for Microsoft and Halo to take shots at you.
Yeah. I mean, if it's a town hall, though, too, like, it's a public thing, right?
Not necessarily. You can call a town hall that's just meant for your internal company. Someone leaked it from there, is what I'm saying.
I also think that DICE recently, because of the backlash, they've been doing this like open office type thing where apparently anyone can sit in their meetings.
Oh, that's weird.
Like they're trying to do some like transparency. Like it's way too progressive business. That's all I'm just saying. Like, you know, like come on, like we don't need to see this. Just make the game that's fun with squads. Do it.
Watch a few episodes of Mad Men. That's how an office needs to be run. Come on.
Yeah, like you're a video game company. You're a big name video game company. We don't need to think you guys are the good guys behind the scenes. Just, keep it within reason. Don't be an Activision, but, give us, end users something we can enjoy. And we can look past some stuff. Jesus.
Yeah. You're working for EA. Come on.
Yeah. All right, Chambers. So one thing I did want to ask both you guys, I'm shocked we haven't talked about it yet, but speaking of Halo, have you guys seen the trailer for the new series, the Halo series? I think it's on Paramount. It's live action, and I watched the trailer like one time, thought it looked pretty cool. I'm only guessing it's the original story, but I could be absolutely wrong about that. So did you guys watch it? That trailer, at least?
I did not. No.
I only did because championship weekend for NFL, it played at least twice every commercial break. So they had like
really?
3 different commercials, and that just played ad nauseum. They spent fucking money that weekend on it. So, yeah, I mean, it looks pretty cool. I'll give them that. Like the CG looks pretty good. Like, casting seems like it's going to be fine. The voice for Master Chief, like, it's not the classic video game voice, so that always throws you off, but it seems like it's fine. I know that there was a report where they're like, oh, we're going to show you Master Chief's face. It's like, don't do that.
Yeah, definitely don't do that. Well, see, that's the one thing that worries me is, so I am reading it now. So they're basically saying it's a non-canon standalone story inspired by the game rather than being like an adaptation or continuation or a prequel or anything, which, honestly, if you come out and say that, and you set expectations, I feel like that's better because, then you're just like, hey, it's just in the universe. It's just inspired. Like, it's its own thing. But, yeah, I think guaranteedly, and given the guy that they picked who's been starting to do a lot more bigger TVs and movies, I think you probably will see his face eventually because he's going to have a legit love interest and da-da-da-da-da. You know how these shows go. But, yeah, it's Paramount Network on their Paramount Plus streaming because everything has a streaming shit now.
It's so annoying. Everything has its own streaming shit.
Everything. The days when we're like, yo, cut the cord with cable and you can have
3
streaming
months.
now.
That worked for 3 fucking months, and then they all goddamn caught on.
I'm actually pretty stoked to see Uncharted. I'm a big Uncharted stan. But I think it's really weird that they picked Mark Wahlberg for Sully, to be honest. Totally not the right character.
Do you think that's weird? I think Tom Holland is a terrible choice for Nathan Drake.
Yeah, I mean, he's not great. I mean,
I don't think you need an origin story. Like, you don't always need an origin story in my mind. Like, you could just drop it in and be like, oh, he's a, adventuring archaeologist. He's fucking Indiana Jones. Like, Indiana Jones didn't need an origin story. Just drop him in. Have Bruce Campbell be Sully, and then have fucking, like Tom Hardy be like Nathan Drake, and then there you go.
Yeah. I don't know. I want to check it out. Just because, I'm a big Uncharted stan. Those are one of the only few games that I platinumed.
Nice.
Uncharted.
I actually, so at the turn of the new year, we made resolution games, like New Year's resolution shit. So Uncharted 2 is one of them for me because I fucking hated the first Uncharted.
The first one's garbage.
Bad. Because I'm that stupid type that's like, oh, I gotta, I gotta start from the first game and to go through them all. And I played it and I was like, ugh. I like the platforming. The platforming was good. The combat was dog shit. Right. And so, yeah, you're the Uncharted fan. So, I started playing Uncharted 2 and I just started getting those vibes again. And I was like, put it away. Yeah. So I always hear how good it is. I got to go back to that. So I will plan on playing that this year.
They get progressively better as you go through the series. So.
Nice, because I remember when 2 came out, that was considered game of the decade kind of shit. And then 3 come out, and they're like, oh, 3's even better. I was like, holy shit.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I was just curious. Like I said, I'm only excited for the Halo series strictly because I don't even know if I have Paramount. I feel like with so many things too, like when I have a Disney bundle, I don't know what's included with that shit or what's on my cable. But if it's available, I'm not going to go out of my way to like get Paramount Plus. If I somehow have it already, cool, I'll watch it because I'm going through all the Halo games again. So I'm interested because now like I'm getting back into that lore. But yeah, I was just curious. That was something I feel like that flew under a radar though. I feel like I don't see anybody talking about it, which is kind of weird for how big the game is.
Sometimes I'm kind of just scared to watch shit like that. Like I'm also a big Cowboy Bebop fan, and I haven't watched the Netflix show just because like I don't want to. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. I guess you kind of got to feel it out with the Halo series. Like, is it gonna be good, or am I gonna be viciously disappointed and I should just block it from my, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, like I kind of want to watch it, but I'm also terrible about keeping up with like any kind of. I'm bad enough with video games, keeping up with like current shit, but like TVs and movies, I'm always like a decade behind. And if it wasn't for like doing the bonus episodes for the podcast, I would not watch like any like current-ish movies. So that's like one of the big plus sides for doing that is like forcing myself to do it. So like, would I want to watch it? Yeah, I guess probably. But am I going to get around to it? Probably not, unless we review it. So
Right.
Yeah. Nice. Well, Jim, I mean, we'll do it a little bit out of order because I think it makes more sense talking about series and something that was announced. But the Fallout series. By the way, I've been waiting. Now, I am a Fallout mark much more. I've been waiting for them. Like, I always thought this would be such a great series. I didn't think a movie would ever do it justice because you should do a series. And they announced that Walton Goggins is going to star in it, and he's good in pretty much everything he does. Like I've seen him be every type of character under the sun, and he's always pretty damn good. So I'm actually pretty excited. I think it's going to be really good. What do you guys think?
I threw this in here because I'm such a goddamn Walton Goggins mark that I just want to say Walton Goggins is the head of the Fallout TV series because I fucking love him so goddamn much. So like that's instantly like I'm like, oh, Walton Goggins is the star of this. I will definitely be watching this show. I will make my goddamn exceptions.
What about you, Trav?
Yeah, I mean, I love Fallout and definitely good casting. I'd like to see where they're going with it. You know what I mean? Because there's so many different areas in Fallout, right? Or is it going to be in California or whatever, New California, whatever they call it, or are they going to be in Vegas? Or are we going to be
Vegas
in
or
DC?
Boston?
Boston.
Yeah, you know what? Honestly, I think similar to what we just talked about, though. Be smart. Do it in an area that hasn't been covered by the game.
Dayton,
Because
Ohio.
if you you do that, like you could do like anything else, like literally pick a somewhere in between, like you could do New York because it's never been covered. Like do somewhere where it'll give you the freedom to do kind of what you want, that you can pull in things. Because if you do it in one of the areas, God forbid you don't mention a certain quest or character, then it's going to be up for debate and whatever. I think if you pick a city that hasn't been touched yet by the franchise, you're golden. You know, you're going to still show the mutants. You're going to still show the death claws. You're going to show probably some of the staples and the weapons and shit. But at the end of the day, all the characters can be original. You don't have to rely on old lore. You know, I think it's a easy runaway, like make money type thing. And it's coming on Prime Video. So they make some pretty good shit. I hope they don't cheap out on the effects.
Yeah, I mean, that's what could kill it, right?
Yeah,
if
it looks too shitty.
Right. Deathclaw looks like Shrek. Like,
exactly.
We're gonna be reviewing the newest. We're gonna be reviewing the newest Resident Evil movie, and if you want to talk about cheaping out on effects and what that can do to a thing, oh boy.
Yeah.
What is you guys' like favorite video game movie or TV show?
Ooh. That's a good question.
Movie or show? I mean, for a junk food movie, Jim and I said we both love the original Mortal Kombat movie.
Okay,
I still think the original Mortal Kombat might be like the best, like all around, like because like it still does service to the franchise, and it's goofy and like 90s kitsch and shit like that, but like it's still like kind of a solid like watchable movie too outside of its like IP.
I'll say show is pretty easy for me. I'm going to go with The Witcher because having now played enough of The Witcher, I watched The Witcher without having played through any of the games all the way.
Right.
So I had very little, but now that I'm playing through 3, I have more respect for the show. I'm like, oh, I already enjoyed it before, but they really did well with that. But movies, it's tough because, like, yeah, like the original Mortal Kombat, I liked it. I actually didn't mind the original Resident Evil movie.
I think the first 3 are fun. Like, they're dumb
Yeah.
and they're not true to the series, but they're fun for what they are.
They're fun, and
Yeah.
and my wife and I watched the whole, like, we did a whole marathon of all of them, and yeah, they did.
There didn't need to be 7.
No, they didn't. They didn't need to be 7, and they so often threw in characters just for the sake of, like, oh, there's this guy.
Right.
But you know what? Even till the end, they are just stupid action, dumb popcorn. Like, don't pay attention at all. Oh, there's random killing, and the effects always maintain. That's the only thing I can give those movies. Even when the acting and everything got even more ridiculous, the effects of the zombies and how some of them look towards the end, they look great. I'll give them that.
And half the
But,
time, Mila Jovovich will be naked at least once in these movies. So
Yeah.
there's always
Yeah,
that too.
worth it. I've always liked the Silent Hill movies personally. I've always
Really?
thought that they were like some. I can't really remember which ones are which. They all kind of just blend together. But I remember them being like legitimately kind of scary and like good. I don't know.
I remember seeing the first one in theaters, and like, I remember hating it at the time. I don't know why, but like, because I've been watching it like, a decade and a half. But
Right. Yeah, I mean,
maybe
maybe
I got to go back to it, give it a shot.
they could be terrible. I don't know. I just for some reason I always think of like, oh yeah, I always remember I like those.
I just
Never
remember there was
felt
that
bad
like
they might be terrible.
there was that one scene with that little girl, and they like barge into a room, and she's just standing there, and she's like, "I'm burning," and then she just bursts into flames, and like we just started like cracking up in the theater at that point. We're like,
But that's also kind of like Silent Hill. There's just random ass shit in that game.
that is true too.
Like chair people and like the
Yeah, I
pyramid
think-
head.
Pyramid
what
being
it is?
shoehorned and everything ever since too. Yeah,
All of it is like what you go in with your expectations. Because honestly, a pretty
mine were
okay
probably too
movie.
high for Silent Hill, to be honest. Yeah.
If I go kid movie, my son is obsessed with Sonic, and I don't mind that movie at all. I actually think it's fine. Like I watched it now more times than I want to, and maybe it's drilled into me, but I was completely fine with that movie. I'm trying to think though, other good or bad.
I tried to watch Sonic with my daughter, and she wasn't really interested. But like, we watched like 20 minutes, and I was like, I want to keep watching. So like, I'm going to go back and watch that on my own.
You should. You really should.
Original
But,
Mario Brothers movie.
I love that fucking
I-
movie.
yeah.
Fuck the
good.
goddamn haters.
Dennis
I
Hopper.
I
in
absolutely
that? Come
love
on.
that. Yeah, the cast
Exactly.
is amazing. It was the both best and worst cast possible thing, because it made no sense for being relative to the game, but as a character movie,
Yeah.
it's perfect. It's perfect.
The casting makes no sense. The cast like talks about like the nightmare production that it was to like get it made. Like the whole thing's a goddamn nightmare. Maybe it's all nostalgia for us, but you know what? I fucking love it. Like
How did Danny DeVito turn down Mario though? Apparently he was approached and they were like, and he was like, "No, what is a Mario?"
Really?
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
shit.
so it wasn't like a conflict of interest with like Batman Returns or anything. He was just like, nah.
Yeah, no, he was like, "No, I don't want to do it." And apparently Tom Hanks was also supposed to be in it as I forgot, maybe Mario as well. I think it's like $5 million deal, and he turned it down.
Wow.
Jesus. Speaking of movies from that era, and I liked, you know what? I was always a sucker for the Double Dragon movie.
Oh yeah, that's a bad one, but that's a goofy fun one. Though, too.
Yep, that's one that I always, as a kid, I knew more. Like I had played the games, obviously, but my reference to Double Dragon for the longest time was that movie. So,
Bro, I ruined a few socks to Alyssa Milano in that movie.
damn it,
Crusty boy.
damn it, Jim.
I can't hate.
No, that's a good question, no trap. So our final topic for tonight, and it's Jim, you're gonna have to help me with this one, but it's
Yeah,
a tweet
so-
that you put out here. So
Yeah.
go ahead. Why don't you explain it?
So there's a little backstory to this. So Piko Interactive, they have been around for the past, I want to say, give or take like 5 years, where they really started having steam. And what they do is, and actually for the whole history thing along with Travis, is they will take like old dead IPs or games that like never finished fully being released back in the old days, and they'll get the license for them and release them these days. And like they'll make carts for the old consoles. So I have a couple of them for like the Genesis and shit like that. But they'll make games for like the Jaguar and the Game Boy and Super NES crap like that. But also port it to like the Switch or like the Evercade and all that kind of shit. So they like to pride themselves as being like, preservationists and, keepers of like old IPs and keeping shit alive. Even though like the quality, like the games they put out for the most part aren't really that great. Like there's a reason they didn't really get released for the most part. And the build quality for their stuff kind of sucks because like their first run shit would actually like wreck the pin connectors in your consoles. So if you bought them, you're fucking up your history. So that's always nice. But so yeah, they put out a tweet saying the era of commercial preservation is here, like jerking himself off basically. So then a Twitter account called SNES Central said, Piko demanded that I removed the unreleased English version of Iron Commando off the SNES Central after they gained the rights to it, even though it was leaked over 20 years ago as a scene release and available on any ROM site. So they've actually become kind of infamous where they'll go like almost like back to licenses that they just bought up and try to like strike down hosts of these old ROMs. Even though like Piko will like quote unquote like finish them or like change the translations or quote unquote fix them. But they'll still feel like they can go back and like strike down people who are keeping up the original unfinished ROM dumps and shit like that.
So, I guess I have a few questions. So, first of all, SNES Central, what is that? Is that just a ROM site?
I'm going to take a look at that real quick, too, because I'm not 100% sure, to be honest with you.
So, on one hand, it's funny, because we actually talked about this last episode.
It's a fan website with prototypes, unreleased games, and countless scans. So, yeah, It's like a big hub for, like, all, like, any kind of data related to the Super NES.
That never came... Okay. So... on one hand, it's weird that they're going this route, like, because we've said we know Nintendo's never going to do it because they're a shit company of re-releasing the shit they should. So now these other companies are coming in and they are buying the old intellectual properties to make it new again or preserve it or whatever you want to call it. I don't know how big is like SNES Central getting hits that would like actually put a dent in these guys getting it physical. I don't know.
Well, I mean, their thing is a niche market as is, so it's like, yeah,
that's what I mean.
I've never heard of it.
Odd,
yeah, I've never heard of it. Like, I like video games. I don't think I'm maybe as involved with like the classic games as you guys are, but like I've never heard of it. Like, it's not taking my business or your business, Pico. Like fuck you guys.
Like I said, there's this mentality of like, yeah, we got to attack whoever could possibly have this, as opposed to like, I think it would be really cool if you decide, know your market, know the type of people that would be interested in buying this from you, and maybe pair with a group like SNES Central, and make it beneficial for both you. Like, say, I don't know, just do something where you throw each other a bone, because SNES Central has been doing this thing that is pure fan service, trying to preserve all this shit. And to come in and do this, it's going to do nothing but give you a bad look. So I think it's a very silly idea. And now people that might have been on the fence about, am I going to support Piko, are going to say, F no, especially if they're fans of this type of shit. So, I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me. But, I mean, have you seen other people talking about this, Jim?
Just like the people in like the circles that I follow and like a lot of the retro gaming scene that are just like, dude, what the fuck are you guys doing? Like, you can't sit there and be like, oh, we're all about preservation, then strike down like sites that were preserving these sites these games long before you were like obtaining the rights to IPs that no one ever gives a shit about or anything like that too.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I mean, it's getting a little bit of a firestorm. Obviously, like, retro gaming itself is a niche market, and then preserving and re-release. Look, here's an example. Like, our buddy Rue. Like, he will do that too. Like, he will get IPs. He just did it for, oh, fuck me. I'm blanking on the goddamn name right now. But it was, like, an old, like, Atari Lynx and, like, game that, like, he kind of finished, and he ported it over to the Super NES and the Genesis. He's doing it right now. He's doing a Kickstarter with a Game Boy Advance game that never got released either. So, like, it's a hobby for a lot of these guys to, like, just go in there, finish off these old prototypes so it could be released so people can kind of experience them and shit like that.
Yeah.
But he's not going back and going after anyone who's hosting the original ROM because he's like, yeah, it's not my fucking game.
Right.
Like, at the end of the day, it's not really your game. I don't care what license you buy for it. You didn't do shit for it.
This just has me questioning, how much does an IP like that probably go for?
It can't be a lot. Like
That I want to look that up. That's something that has me interested. Like, what could it possibly?
I did meet someone back in New York. I can't remember if it was the company I Am 8-Bit or it was another. Maybe it might have been a different company. But they would go to Japan and get like licenses for various like old video games like Gradius or whatever, and then print them on vinyl, which I thought was really cool because they like go over and they talk to like Sega or whoever, whatever they're trying to get, and just license just the music, and then print it on a really nice vinyl for you. And I feel like that's more preservation than just buying up licenses and like, because like you could go and find the soundtrack for something but to have a nice collectible piece.
It's actually funny. Like Nintendo's they're real dicks when it comes to their fucking music. Like at least once a year there'll be a story where like a channel that like uploaded like 4,000 tracks of songs from Nintendo games, and they might not even monetize it or any shit like that. But then Nintendo will eventually discover it and just strike it down, even though it's like ancient games that Nintendo doesn't care about and they never re-release. And, no one else would know about, but it's still nice to have a spot where you can just go and get the music from it if it's a game you like.
Yeah.
Like, it's not hurting anyone, and they're not making money off it, so, like, who gives a shit at that point?
It's interesting. I had a channel, Clamorgy, back in the day where we used to do power hours where you'd listen to a song for a minute and then drink, right?
Oh, we've done a few of those.
Yeah, so I made a video game music power hour, and they're still up on YouTube. And I think the only one, like obviously I don't make any money off of it because they've all had copyright claims on all the music. The only game that was the music was removed was I think Ridge Racer, and I had Ridge Racer on there. And literally during the power hour, there's like just no music.
There's just a blank spot.
They took it out. Yep. But all the Mario shit and all that stuff, yeah. I mean, they obviously like claimed it or whatever, but they let it go.
We were doing a bunch of them for a while, and like the one that got the biggest strike was from fucking we did WWE music.
Ooh yeah,
Vince McMahon is none too nice about letting his shit out there.
It's blocked in this country, like it's blocked in certain countries, and I'm like, I was like, they are fun to do, but like it sucks because then we can't actually upload them because they get strike down, they get blocked, or like you said, I think our NES might have had a song or two similar where it mutes for a second.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, well then I don't want to do them because if people can't hear it, it's kind of silly.
What's the point? Yeah.
Yeah. So they're it just this IP thing nonsense. You just got to figure out a way to come at it better. And buying an old title for a game that, quite frankly, I never heard of. I can't imagine.
No one gives a shit about Thunderbolt 2. And if someone has it on a fucking ROM site, it's a shitty shmup anyway. So if someone has it on a ROM site, they're not gonna be hurting you by taking it down. Like your niche is selling a physical cart of a game no one cares about. So collectors like me can have it on their shelf and play it once and go, oh, this sucks, and then put it away and never touch it again.
Exactly.
So like that, I'm the fucking mark for that stuff. Like that's what you're doing. Like having it on a ROM site is not affecting you.
Yeah. You're not bringing me over. Someone like me who I'm like, no, I did emulate it. It was fine. I don't need a physical copy of it. So, yeah, it's a very odd look, but I don't know. I guess if they're trying to be like a Nintendo is my only guess. Got to protect your IPs. Super important.
Well, they paid for something, right?
Yeah. All right. So that's going to close out for today's episode. But before we go, guys, did you hop on any new beers or did you stick with the last ones we talked about?
I've been rocking.
Sorry. After you, Travis.
I've been rocking virgin beers, just seltzer.
I got you. I like it.
Yeah.
I these past 2 years or something, I started getting into seltzers and stuff. And yeah, when I'm not drinking beer, for some reason, that is my go-to because I don't drink soda anymore. So
yeah, you know what? I mean, especially when you're drinking hard seltzers and then you switch to regular seltzers, your brain just kind of shuts off anyway. So like a lot of times when I'm doing the show, I'm like, let me just throw some like regular seltzers in with my seltzers.
Yeah.
Keep yourself hydrated, not have a terrible next day.
Mm-hmm. What about you, Chambers?
No, I spent the rest of this just drinking that Beware the Snowman. And yeah, I mean, if you've had I don't know enough about Dunkles to say, like, this is different from any other Dunkel I've had. It's kind of along the same lines, but it was really goddamn good. So if you like Dunkles, you'll enjoy this one.
Which one do you like better?
I think I still. You know what? Yeah, that's tough because like the unfiltered definitely felt more like it definitely had a stronger flavor to it, but it also had more of that like hoppy harshness in the back of the throat.
Yeah.
Where the Dunkel was a lot more smooth, but it wasn't as like it wasn't as like full body flavored, so it's like kind of a give and take. But I guess maybe I'll go with the Snowman just because it seems like something I'd go back to more.
Nice. Yeah, and the Pilsner, the slightly more alcohol one, is the one I prefer. Like I said, the lemon one is good, but I can tell that's one where these are the big boy cans too. I can tell, like, if I had too many of those lemon ones, my stomach's gonna get fucked up. Like, that goes back to your early question, Trav, of, like, things I drink that I probably wouldn't. I remember getting a really bad hangover and throwing up off of, like, Twisted Teas as a kid that probably wasn't old enough to drink at the time.
Yep.
The acid that builds up in your stomach from those things was always so bad that, like, I can have a sip of them, and you know what? If you're not a big drinker, you might love them. I can't drink a couple. Like, they're too sweet or too acidic. Like,
You have to be careful with the acidity because I remember one time we were playing King's Cup, with the cards and whatever. Everyone adds to the center. Somebody put Malibu in the center. And then added cider in. And, of course, I'm the asshole that gets the King's Cup. And, I'm chugging this, curdled fucking gross thing. And my friend's just like, cat puke. And, I can't even smell Malibu anymore.
Dude, my last hangover was actually recently from Valentine's Day. We went out for dinner, so I drank a full bottle of wine like a responsible adult. And then we went to a friend's house and had a bunch of seltzers. So that was a lovely combo. Ooh. And as I'm sitting there just with the worst headache of my fucking it's been a long time since I've had a headache this bad. And I have Encanto music as an earworm playing in my head the entire goddamn time. That's an underrated part of hangovers is when that one song gets stuck in your head and you just keep replaying it again and again and again. Oh, yeah. And the whole time just thinking, I'd be ready to just kill over and die right now. So all that sweet shit, man, it's just a fucking killer.
Yeah. But no, Travis, once again, we truly appreciate you coming on. Can't wait to come on to your podcast. But before we go, why don't you shout out once again, where can everyone find you? Where do you want them to subscribe?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me on, guys. If you would like history, you like drinking, obviously you like drinking, you're listening to a show about video games and drinking. And you like history, so go check out Roast Mortem cast and stay tuned. Make sure you wherever you listen on podcasts, make sure you subscribe because we're gonna have these guys on our show probably in the next month or so. So when it's gonna be popping up on the feeds.
Awesome. Well, once again, everyone watching, if you are watching on YouTube, please make sure you hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and the notification bell. If you're listening on iTunes or Spotify, please leave us a 5-star rating. Give us a review. We will read any reviews you leave us on this show. It would really help support us. We hope you guys have had a great night, and cheers.
Cheers, everyone.
Cheers.